What's going on, everybody? Welcome back if you've been here before. Today we're going to be playing what looks to you like round 2 of the Pandemonium Premodern Summer Series, but it's actually round 3 because I have a round 1 bye. If you want to watch round 2, that's going to be linked in the description, and we are currently 2-0 with this deck. It's Tangle Welder Prison. If you want to learn more about the deck, I suggest you watch the first video in this series. We'll also have a deep dive into the deck coming very shortly. But we're 2-0, meaning that our opponent that we're getting paired up against in Swiss is also 2-0. That means they're undefeated, so we're going to be playing against one of the better players in the room. And as some of you know, it's Chris Shavers. He is playing a deck he asked to borrow from me because he really wants to take this event down. And he's seen me play it. He's had some reps with it, and he knows it's very strong. It is Tidestill, blue-white Tidestill. Normally I wouldn't, but I'm lending this deck out, so I have a photo of this as well. And this deck is, it's pretty simple when you look at it. It's just blue-white landstill, the normal counter spells, board wipes, man lands, standstill combination of cards that all add up to this cool control deck. And then finally you're playing Parallax Tide and all the ways to combo with Parallax Tide, so you can beat all these big mana nonsense mid-range decks without having to think about it too hard. That is everything you gotta know, so let's go ahead and hop into game 1 of round 3. All right, getting into it, we're gonna high roll as always. I roll a 10. If I'm remembering correctly, we rolled draws a couple times. Yeah, there's another 10. So I believe I do win this die roll. Now, Chris, for those of you who will remember from the recent series I uploaded, which was Pandemonium Premodern 4 of the summer series, 2 events ago, Chris actually beat me in the finals for that one. So Chris is a very dangerous opponent, and he's playing a very dangerous deck. I think we typically are going to have a good matchup here, but Chris, again, extraordinary pilot. Looking at my 7, we've got a keepable 7. We've got a soul land into a 2-drop, which we're almost always going to keep. Chris goes to 6. Let's see if he can find a 6 that he actually likes. Looks like he's got 1 land, 2 land, multiple pieces of permission. What's that last card? It is a Chain of Vapor. That's definitely a keep. He puts 1 down, and we're off to the races. I'll play City of Traitors, and then Mind Stone. So turn 1, 3 mana. Pretty good. Chris is going to Flooded Strand and pass. Quite good. I'll untap and draw. Looks like we got another Mind Stone, so we'll play it. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also a Winter Orb in our hand. Tap 2, and there it is. Play Winter Orb. This isn't going to matter yet, but eventually, because there also is a port in our hand, I believe, we're going to start to lock Chris out of the game and hopefully be able to resolve spells under counter magic. Chris did play in a Darker Waste. We're now tapping for 4 and playing Thran Dynamo. Chris probably has to interact with this. I believe he does. Looks like he does. He's going to fetch, drop down to 19, counterspell it. But I've only got the 1 land, and now Chris has tapped down both of his lands. So there's some interesting stuff that could happen here. I'm wondering if this is the turn that nope, I did not expose my my Rishadan Port just yet, but I think that's okay. Chris is going to take a draw step. He has 1 island untapped because we have a Winter Orb. He plays in a Darker Waste and passes to me. I've only got 1 land, so I keep on tapping all 4 of my mana sources. Real good for me. We're going to play a Tangle Wire. Chris does have the counter magic, so I'm almost certain he has to use it here. He does counterspell. Now that's going to be fine. This turn's probably the one where I want to play my Port. Yep, we play Port, sacrifice City of Traitors, and now we're in an interesting game state where I still have 1 land, but 2 mana rocks. So Chris is going to untap 1 land a turn, and I'll just tap it back down. And that's going to be the game state for the foreseeable future. Chris passes to me after playing a tap land. Coastal Tower is not great. And I have a second Rishadan Port, it looks like. So we're passing to Chris. And in his upkeep, not his upkeep, his untap. He'll untap the island. Then as an upkeep, we'll tap it with our port. And we're going to keep this going. Chris missing land drop here. Very, very big deal for me. Looks like we're passing back and forth again. So I'm going to target the island. And it looks like Chris is looking at his Chain of Vapor, which he casts, bouncing my Mind Stone, which I don't hate, because now if I want to reestablish the Mind Stone, I'm going to have to tap more mana and then maybe get locked a little bit more under my Winter Orb than I'm comfortable being locked. Chris plays a Mishra's Factory, so finding land drops here is exactly what Chris wants to do. We'll take a draw. Looks like we're going to play a 3rd Rishadan Port, which cannot be good for Chris at all. And we'll expose the Mind Stone. I should probably tap for that differently. And it looks like I see it. Yeah, we're going to tap the Mind Stone. That way we're not tapping a bunch of our lands under our Winter Orb. We pass to Chris, who untaps a blue source, and then I'm going to tap that blue source again, it looks like. Does Chris have another chain in his hand? He does. He wants to do the same thing. Bounce the Mind Stone in my hand. Just kind of keep me under on mana advantage, so I have to keep struggling to get lands into play. Pass this to me, I'll untap and draw, and I think that was a City of Brass. No, yeah, Ancient Tomb. Way better than City of Brass. This deck does not play City of Brass. Ancient Tomb comes into play, so now I'm up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. And I'm tapping the Ancient Tomb for 2. This lets me just re-expose the Mind Stone. So the Chain of Vapors more or less didn't do a lot. In Chris's upkeep, we'll tap down his island. And I'm wondering if he's got a response after that. Looks like not. So he draws for turn, and after his draw step, we're going to tap his Mishra's Factory. holding him down pretty hard. Chris does play Flooded Strand. That's tricky because I can't really tap the Flooded Strand, so Chris probably wants to leave that uncracked for as long as possible. Chris on-taps a island, but I can tap that one. So I tap 2 and tap the island. If any of you don't love this playstyle of, prison, this is the only event we're playing it for, and I probably won't play it in another event for a long time. Just for anyone who's watching this like, ew, prison, know that there are people who love this. I know some of them in real life. This is for you guys who like prison decks. We're playing Crosis' Catacombs, which is really nice because if I bounce a land, that's kind of like on tapping it. Next turn I can play it and it's great. Looks like we've got a Welder, and then Chris, going to his turn, he on-taps. I'm going to port, but if Chris has a swords here, which he does, he needs to use it to get that Welder out of play. So I'll gain a life, go back up to 16, looks like? No, 19. I guess I haven't used my Ancient Tomb that much, so that makes sense. And Chris plays a Mishra's Factory. Nice Pandemonium Premodern top 8 Mishra's Factory, which is very cool. Then we will untap Port plus Mindstone, and then play our third port back out. That's we bounce to the Crosis' Catacombs. Chris untaps, so I'm going to tap down that Coastal Tower in his upkeep. See if he has anything to say. He doesn't. So then he draws for turn. Same trick. At the end of your draw step, it looks like I'm tapping 2 more to tap him out of his Sky Cloud Expanse. He does have a Mishra's Factory, so he's keeping up on lands, which is this is where Chris wants to be here. He'll pass to me, so I'll untap and take a little draw step. Let's see what we find here. A City of Traitors. Not bad. That's a lot more mana. This leaves us with 5 on tap right now, so if we had something to do, we should do it there, but I'm not entirely sure what we have in our hand. I pass back to Chris, so I'm going to tap down the land that he untaps, the Coastal Tower. And then he draws. Does he have a land number 4 here? He is fetching. Chris is fetching the Flooded Strand. Is it to go get a basic plains? It is a plains. And then I wonder what his line is here. Does he want to... Oh, I see a Seal of Cleansing in his hand. Maybe that's exactly what he's supposed to do here. Taps for 2, plays Seal of Cleansing. I don't play Permission, so that just kind of resolves. The card is very good against me. Chris then passes, so I untap Crosis' Catacombs. And I've got multiple Tinkers in my hand, so I think I know exactly what I did here. Tap for 1, 2. Think about it differently. Yep, 1, 2, 3. And I tap my Mind Stone, so I don't tap down too many lands. And then I Tinker, targeting a Mind Stone. Chris doesn't have any blue mana available, so it resolves. And that's second Winter Orb, meaning that that Seal of Cleansing is not going to save him from this prisoned out game that he's currently participating in. He does opt to crack the Seal of Cleansing on one of the Winter Orbs at my end step. Then he's going to untap a Coastal Tower. We do not have a port untapped, so I can't do anything about that. Chris passes to me, and what are we untapping here is the big question. Is it a port or is it a blue source? It looks like it's a port. We'll draw our card for turn. Our hand is like kind of fine, but very expensive. We're also having trouble operating under our own Winter Orb. Looks like we're passing to Chris and tapping down his Coastal Tower in his main phase. I did not do anything with my turn. Chris is going to play Dust Bowl, which could come up if he can get enough mana to start using it. It beats up on my soul lands in a really good way for him, not for me so much. I'm going to tap City of Traitors to play out another Mind Stone. These are also redraws. Mind Stone is one of the actual like secretly best cards in this deck. Chris on-taps, and I'm just going to re-tap him back down. I'm aware that Parallax Tide is a way for Chris to buy into this game, and I'm trying my hardest to not let him Parallax Tide me. He passes to me, so I untap Port plus Mind Stone, and then I play Gemstone Mine and sacrifice the City of Traitors. In the last upload, I forgot to sacrifice a city. Luckily, it didn't matter, but it was that's something you got to watch out for when you're playing this deck, because the games go long, it's easy to miss triggers. I play Welder. He lets that resolve, and then Chain of Vapors looks like my Winter Orb. I don't have a response, so this is huge for Chris. He's going to get to untap all of those lands, and he needs to make use of it because he knows that I have the Winter Orb in hand, and if he doesn't have a piece of permission, which in his hand it doesn't look like he does, he could be in trouble. Ooh, Chris reminding me very kindly, do you want to tap down a land before I draw a card? It's like, well, yeah, sure. He did draw the card, but I think if I remember correctly, he reminded me, which is very nice of him. He's going to tap for 1, 2, 3. It's got to be tied, right? 4. That's a white source. I wonder if he wants to readjust it to factory. He does. That's 2 blue. It's probably going to be a Parallax Tide. He plays Parallax Tide. We know he's got a Stifle in hand. I can see that just watching this scratch video I made for the edit. And then I separate all 6 lands, and he takes everything but my Gemstone Mine, because the Gemstone Mine will implode all on its own. Plus, he does have an active Dust Bowl. Then he taps for a white, probably to Swords to Plowshares my Welder. This is pretty bad for me. 1 on-tap step, and this is everything that Chris is able to do. He plays Coastal Tower, and he's got exactly 4 lands left. I don't see a reason not to just Dust Bowl my Gemstone Mine. That's exactly what he does. Now, mind you, these Mind Stones are very important still. He's going to, yep, there goes the island that he sacked for the Dust Bowl. Even though I don't have a land in play, I still get to tap 2 and play this Winter Orb. So now Chris is trapped again with me. Now he's going to untap a blue source, And then here he gets to do something kind of mean. Parallax Tide wants to go away. He's going to stifle the trigger to bring back my lands. So all 5 of those lands are just gone forever now. I don't get those back. Chris plays Skycloud Expanse, and I draw for turn and find a Shivan Reef, which is huge, because I do have this Goblin Welder that I just played. And I think Chris's only card in hand is Decree of Justice, which is not helpful here. So this Goblin Welder may be able to buy me enough advantage to just kind of take over this game from this position. He drew a counterspell, which is not good against a Resolve Welder at all. I tap for a red, or it looks like a colorless maybe because I'm not losing a life. And then I play Crosis' Catacombs, buying back my land drop for next turn, and then tap for a total of 4 and play Thran Dynamo. That's pretty good. Am I going to activate the Welder now? Float 3 with Thran Dynamo, activate the Welder, and what are we buying back? Looks like Tangle Wire. We're going to keep the prison going. This is going to keep Chris tapped out for a good long time. So Tangle Wire comes into play. Chris has nothing to say about it. He goes to on-taps 1 land, and then Tangle Wire has 4 counters on it, so he taps all 3 lands. And this is prison. We are absolutely on gear 1 again. Now we're going to untap, roll down the Tangle Wire, tap both our Mind Stones plus the Tangle Wire to the Tangle Wire. Then we'll play that Shivan Reef back out. We have a Tsabo's Web in hand, it looks like, but we do not need to expose it, because Chris can't untap anyway. Then Chris is going to pass to me. Is it time to use my Welder? Yep. Sacrifice. This is a really cool trick. Now I don't have a Tangle Wire, so I have to tap nothing in my upkeep. I'm getting back a Thran Dynamo, meaning I have access to a ton of mana. We play City of Traitors. We're tapping for 1, 2, 3, and it looks like we're we're floating 5. We're tapping for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're using 3 of it, leaving 3 floating. We're going to tinker for Altar of Dementia. That's how I won this game. Then with the rest of our mana, 3 floating and 3 more mana sources from our rocks and lands, we play Devourer. This combo is going to kill Chris, so we're going to game number 2. All right, before we can get into the second game, we do have to do some sideboarding. Be aware, I don't know exactly how Chris sideboarded for this matchup, but we have to be aware of a null. A null is going to be a pain because Chris is on the play, so if he opens on a 1 blue source of mana that's untapped, it's going to stop our best openers, and we have to be aware of that going in. What are we doing? We're going to be bringing in 1 Powder Keg. It's probably not super intuitive why. All of Chris's manlands are going to be a big part of how he wins the game, and simply putting a Powder Keg into play will allow us to kind of like hold a stasis over the game where Chris actually can't turn the corner, and we can kind of play Magic for infinite time. We're also bringing in 2 defense grids, which are going to make Chris's counter magic not matter. If we can open on a defense grid and Chris doesn't have a response, it leaves his outs to the situation as exactly 2 Seal of Cleansing. He doesn't really have any other way to stop us. What are we taking out? 1 Masticore. It's going to feed on our hand, which we really don't want. We want to keep up on cards in this matchup. And also it just dies to swords, which isn't great. We're going to be removing 1 Phyrexian Furnace. Chris doesn't actually use his graveyard as a resource. I could see cutting both, but I do like how the Furnace replaces itself. That's kind of nice. And you can get into some pseudo loops with the Goblin Welder. So we're keeping 1 copy. And we're also going to remove the Ensnaring Bridge. Chris, by the time he starts attacking us, the creatures aren't the real problem. We're going to be dead to anything, so we're not really worried about using Furnace to try to lock down the game. That's everything you got to know, so let's hop into the game number 2. All right, getting into the second game, Chris is going to be on the play, and Chris probably sided in all 3 copies of a null that he does have in the sideboard. This means that even my fastest openers are something Chris can combat, so we're definitely going to be sweating this game. And looking at his hand, it looks like Chris just has the annul plus a blue source, an untapped blue source. I do not like my hand. I can't remember exactly why, but I think it had something to do with just not like enough action plus no soul lands. So we're going to look at this 6, which has 2 soul lands, but like 0 stacked pieces, which we're going to mulligan. I do agree with that. I remember almost keeping that hand, but thinking, what am I going to do? Fairly cast my spells against a control deck? That seems like a horrible idea. So we're going to look at this 7 and see if there's a 5 inside of it that we can keep. And just glancing at it here, we absolutely can. We've got a soul land plus multiple copies of Sphere of Resistance. There's no way we're not just keeping this. So we're going to pitch 2 to the bottom. And it looks like we're off to the races here with Chris on the play. He's going to lead on a Flooded Strand and pass to me. Take a draw step, and here's the check. Sphere of Resistance on turn 1. Chris does have the annul. He fetches, he has to get an island. He's going to annul it, and then we're just going to pass the turn. If this had resolved, if Chris kept a hand with a bunch of 2 mana counter magic, that would have been really bad for him because he wouldn't be able to cast it on curve, and I would just start to cast my spells underneath Chris's interaction, which would be really bad. Chris plays Flooded Strand and passes back to me, so I will. Looks like we're playing a Shivan Reef, tapping for 2, and are we checking again? Yep, here's a Sphere of Resistance. Does Chris have it? Looking at his hand, he mana leaks. I do see another annul in his hand as well, but he's probably keeping it so he can set up a double spell on a later turn. So I really like this play from Chris. I think a lot of other players might just use the annul, not thinking about how important like using your mana is in these early turns. Chris untaps and he draws for turn, and looks like it's going to be a factory. He passes back to me. I'm going to untap and take a draw myself. And here I'm going up to 4 mana, I believe. Let's see what happens. I tap for a... Oh, this is the Harbinger of a layer land. Crosis' Catacombs comes into play. Yep, we're using all 4 of our mana, losing a bunch of life to this ancient tomb. And I don't think we used colored for that Shivan Reef, though, so we should be good there. And we're going to play Thran Dynamo. Chris probably... Yeah, he annuls this. Unfortunately, I don't think he has anything to do with the other 2 mana because we're just passing back to him. So he's going to play Dust Bowl. That is bad for us because I've got like soul lands in play. Chris might be incentivized to just do what he's doing right now and blow it up. He's not in a hurry to win the game. He can just like sacrifice those Mishra's factories pretty willy-nilly. I'll play Shivan Reef and pass back because I have nothing to do with my mana. Chris doesn't have a land drop. That's huge here. So he passes back to me, and I do. I find Gemstone Mine, play it as my land for turn, and here's a Tangle Wire. Unfortunately for me, Chris has mana leak. So he's going to mana leak. Permission's really good here. If Chris can get out underneath, from underneath of a Sphere of Resistance and have a ton of permission, that's how he wins this matchup, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. We got a Gemstone Mine into a Smokestack. No chance this resolves. There's the counter spell. We're in a tough spot here. Chris is going to on-tap. He just needs to start drawing lands at some point, which he hasn't done yet. Will on-tap. We take a draw. We're going to tap for 1 and play a Goblin Welder. He has 2 swords, but no white sources, so he does use a counter spell on it. Goodbye, Welder. And then do we have anything else to do? Nope, we're just passing. Chris finds land 4. He plays Standstill. He's had this Standstill, it looks like, for a couple turns, but he's very patient. He just didn't want to expose Standstill and not have counter magic up because he knows how strong some of my spells actually are. We play Mindstone. That's going to crack the Standstill. Chris is going to draw 3 cards. The last card in our hand is Tinker. So I'm going to tap for everything, losing one of my Gemstone Mines, it looks like, and Tinker my Mindstone. Does Chris have a reaction? He doesn't because he's already used so much permission. So we're going to tutor for a Mishra's Helix. I think this is a Hail Mary for me. I've got a Gemstone Mine that's on the way out, and Chris has the mana advantage. So this isn't good for my position at all. Also, Chris just made a land drop, and it's a white source, and he's got the Dust Bowl up still. So this is real bad. Looks like I draw and pass, and in Chris's upkeep, I'm going to use the Mishra's Helix to tap down 2 things. Chris might be incentivized to just Dust Bowl in response here. Hitting the Crosis' Catacombs would be the best thing to do. That way I have to pay life for my colored mana or sacrifice my Gemstone Mine. Looks like that's where we're going. Sacrifice Island, pop my Crosis' Catacombs, it's all gone. This is really bad for us. Chris is going to... Oh, he already drew a card for turn. He was asking me, did I draw a card? He did. He plays a Darker Waste and passes back to me. We keep drawing lands, which isn't bad, but he continues to have Dust Bowl. We're going to play a Shivan Reef, it looks like. And are we going to jam Sphere or are we going to pass? We're passing. There's a Sphere of Resistance in my hand that's behind me that you can't see. I'm going to use the Mishra's Helix to tap down 2 lands. And Chris is going to do it again. Pop a Island from the Dust Bowl and knock me back a land. And then he's going to draw for turn. That's a Parallax Tide. He also has multiple lands in his hand. He plays like Skycloud Expanse and passes to me, so I'll untap. We're going to lose our Gemstone Mine to play... Oh, we don't even need to lose it. We play Crosis' Catacombs. That's quite good here. Then we're going to tap for 2 more and play Sphere of Resistance. Does Chris have a response? He does. It's a mana leak. I think the door is officially shut. I think we might play for a couple more turns, but I can't see a world where I come back from this. Chris is going to play a tap Fairy Conclave. Then it looks like we're going to see... Yep, here it is. Parallax Tide. I immediately just put 2 lands under the tag. We know exactly what Chris is doing here. There's no mystery. Chris passes to me. I think about playing a land, but I'm not going to. I need to let that Parallax Tide roll down. So Chris's tide goes down to 2. The one nice thing is Chris can't put me under a ton of pressure without something like Decree of Justice. So I can just kind of sit here and draw cards for a couple of turns at least. I draw. I don't play land. Mind you, there's a known Gemstone Mine in my hand. And Chris cycles Decree of Justice for what looks like 4 after fetching for a basic plains. So 4, that is a 4-turn clock total. What am I at, 14? Yeah, it's a 4-turn clock. And there's 4 soldiers. I think a lot of people would concede here, and it's probably fine too. But if I do get those lands back, there's a non-zero chance the combo kill is something I can aim for since Chris has already used so much permission. Chris takes a draw for turn. He's going to play a land. And then I think I saw what he drew, and it's not good for me. He attacks for 4. And then is he just going to close the door here? Yeah, I think he's going to close the door here. Once he's counting his mana, he's going to make 2 angels, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Decree of Justice, make 2 4/4s. That's lethal. I can't cast Powder Keg even if I draw it, so that's going to do it. Let's get into the next game, which we're doing right now. And I get to be on the play for this one, which is really quite good for me. Let's see if the opener's good. If we keep a good 7, that's going to be really bad for Chris, because my good 7 probably has Soul Land plus Prison Piece, and that's going to be really hard for him to deal with. I've got 1 Soul Land plus Prison Piece, but 0 follow-ups. Yeah, we can't do that. because Chris is going to make like every land drop. Chris also mulligans. Now, I know it seems like you should always keep Soul Land plus Prison Piece, but you need something to follow it up with, even if it's just 1 mana or a Mind Stone or something. That hand had none of that. So we're going to look at this 7, which also has Soul Land plus Prison Piece, and we're putting a Helix on the bottom because not super good in the early game, which makes sense. Chris's hand also looks pretty serviceable. He's probably supposed to ship that Parallax Titan. That's exactly what he does. All right, I think we're off to the races with me on the play, so I'm immediately losing 2 life because I already know what my first play is. Ancient Tomb. No, I didn't know what my first play is. It's Shivan Reef into Goblin Welder. I did not lose 2. I lost 1. So maybe I don't have the Soul Land. Oh, I see what happened. My Soul Land is City of Traitors. That's not that good. Chris plays Strand and passes to me, and then I'm going to play City of Traitors. And then what are we doing here? We're just going to jam out we're going to jam out Mind Stone. See if Chris has anything to say about it. Then we're going to play Sphere of Resistance. This is a really good curve for me. Chris does have an opportunity to swords my Welder, which is exactly what he does. He's going to fetch, dropping down to 19, swords the Welder, but I now have a Sphere of Resistance, so Chris's non-annul counter magic is not going to have an effect on the game for a couple of turns now. We'll give Chris a little cut, and we are going to pass back to him. I'm back up at 20, thanks to the swords to Plowshares. Chris did draw a Chain of Vapor, which isn't the worst thing ever. He's going to play a tapped Coastal Tower with his land for turn. That's really good for me. That means Chris can't cast a spell, period. We're going to tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, and what is this spell? It's a Tangle Wire. That's real good for us. Tangle Wire is going to hold Chris down for a few turns here. Chris on-taps. He does have a chance to cast Chain of Vapor here. I wonder if he needs to do that. He's going to tap for 2, and yeah, he's going to Chain of Vapor, targeting my Mind Stone. The thing is he doesn't want to target my Sphere of Resistance or my Tangle Wire, because I'll be the first person to advantage off of that card leaving play, and then I can just redeploy it. Chris plays Flooded Strand and passes to me, so we'll roll down the Tangle Wire, tap 3 things, leaving our City of Traitors untapped. Then we'll take a draw, tap for 2. We're floating the 2. Are we going to play a layer land? Nope, we're just playing Ancient Tomb and sacrificing, but this gives us 4 mana, which is lots. We'll use 2 of it, 3 of it to play Mind Stone, and then do we have a follow-up? Nope, we're just playing Mind Stone. So Chris is going to untap 3, and then there's a Tangle Wire on 3, so he has to tap 3. He'll draw for turn, and then he's got a land drop, which is great. He'll pass to me. I'm going to do absolutely nothing, it looks like. Looks like I forgot to take damage off the Ancient Tomb. That's important. So we're actually at 18, not 20. We're going to leave Tangle Wire and Sphere of Resistance tapped to the Tangle Wire after rolling it down. Then we'll play Rishadan Port. There are no cities in play, so we're good there. And then we're going to, looks like we're using some life for this Ancient Tomb. 1, 2. What else? 3, 4. Are we going for something big? Second Tangle Wire, maybe? Thran Dynamo? Looks like it's just the Tangle Wire. Yeah, this is going to continue to hold Chris down. And 2 Tangle Wires seems like a lot, but for me, even though there's 6 counters across 2 Tangle Wires right now, when we go to my turn, it's going to go down by 2. So there will only be 4, meaning I can tap Tangle Wire, Sphere of Resistance, plus like my Mind Stone and be totally fine with it. Chris plays an island and passes to me. I'm going to untap. We're going to do exactly the thing I just said, where we roll one of them down, roll the other one down, tap 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, that's exactly right. Then we'll draw for turn. We did find a land. It's a Gemstone Mine. And then we've got Tinker, but I don't think we're supposed to use it just yet, because we don't really have anything to do with it. We can go get like a Wing Con or something, but that walks right into Swords to Plowshare, so it's probably better to just hold it here. Chris takes a draw. He taps 4, and then I just realized I Rishadan imported the 5th land he left untapped. So now shields are totally down. One of our Tangle Wires is on 2, the other's on 0, so we can tap 2 Tangle Wires to the Tangle Wire triggers. Then I take a draw, and we've got Welder and Tinker now. This is bad for Chris. Looks like we're tapping, losing some life to the Ancient Tomb. I think we're leading on the Tinker. Otherwise, we wouldn't have tapped nearly that much mana. Yet we're going to Tinker probably the Tangle Wire. Looks like I tinkered my Mind Stone. Probably slightly better to get the Tangle Wire with no counters on it, since it's just raw material that's going to sacrifice itself anyway. But ultimately, I think we're ahead enough where it's okay. We did get a Winter Orb, which is really good. We're also playing Goblin Welder. Now, I don't know how Chris is supposed to get out of this at this point. We do have a resolved port. I guess we don't have any. We might actually pay for sacrificing that Mind Stone, because now we can't like always have 2 lands up to port Chris after he untaps his 1 land. We're going to untap. We've got some triggers. We're also going to untap just the Ancient Tomb. We're going to roll down the Tangle Wire, tap the one that's going to die, then sacrifice it. Take a draw for turn. That's messed up. Our mistake doesn't matter. We drew a Tinker. We're going to tap the Welder, sacrifice Tangle Wire to get Tangle Wire. This is going to make sure Chris stays held down because we've got a Winter Orb in play. And then we're passing to Chris, he's at the point where he just got to tap permanents down. He plays Mishra's Factory, it's just going to get tapped down next turn. We're at a point where this lock doesn't have to stop, because Chris will only ever have access to 1 mana, so he can't even cast swords. Looks like we're tapping 3 to the Tangle Wire after rolling it down, including the Goblin Welder, because we want to hold up the Rishadan Port, which makes a lot of sense here. Okay, Chris is just counting, making sure why didn't I untap those lands? It's because I have a Winter Orb. Then Chris has to tap 1 and untap and draw. And then he passes to me, so I'm going to untap. I'm going to roll the Tangle Wire down to 2, get 1 more land untapped, and then I have to tap 2 permanent, so it's just Tangle Wire plus Sphere of Resistance. Then we take a card, draw, and it looks like a City of Traitors, which is quite good here. We do have a second Winter Orb in hand as well that we're probably supposed to play, but this Goblin Welder is very active now as well. We're tapping for 1, 2, 3, 4, losing 2 life, dropping down to 11. Are we just going to play the Winter Orb? Looks like it. That's a Winter Orb. We're not tinkering, probably because we don't know what we want quite yet. Chris has to play Mishra's Factory. He's already tapped down. We're kind of shortcutting at this point to get the speed going, because I think this game actually took, in real life, 52 minutes to play, because we're both playing prison deck, kind of. I'll untap, leave the Tangle Wire tapped. I will play a... Looks like... Oh, I think I'm asking Chris, did I not sack a City of Traitors? I played it as land for turn last turn. We're good. We tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, going down to... We're really beating the crap out of ourselves there. We're dropping down to 8. And then we're going to play Tinker, sacrificing a Winter Orb. I think I remember what I do here. We have a Welder. We get Tsabo's Web. Tsabo's Web's going to accomplish 2 things. A, Chris is going to... Even if he deals with the Welder, he won't have any man lands or Death Bowls available. But more importantly, Tsabo's Web draws a card when it enters. So this is the best thing to tinker for. That way I can just gain value while Chris is in prison. So we draw a card, then we can use the Welder to loop Tsabo's Web and keep getting card draws. But before we do that, we're going to trade Tangle Wires with the Welder. That way Chris stays in jail. Chris takes a draw for turn. Does he find a land? He does not. So we'll untap, we'll roll down the Tangle Wire, tap it, and the Tsabo's Web and the Sphere of Resistance. Draw a Tinker. And then, yeah, I don't know how Chris gets out of this. I think we're just going to pass, where Chris untaps. And then he tries to chain a Vapor, but there's a Sphere of Resistance just in play. So he has to tap his land down. He's never going to have more than 2 mana. It's not something that can happen. Chris probably is supposed to concede here. I can't think of any way to actually break up what's happening right now. At the end of Chris's turn, I will sack Tsabo's Web, and I'm going to buy back Mind Stone. And then I'm probably just going to draw off the Mind Stone. Oh, I'm explaining to Chris what the game's going to look like, and Chris sees it. He concedes here, which I think is correct. Those were very tight, good games. Well played by Chris. Like I said, I think if I'm on the play and a null doesn't really stop me from getting my permanents into play, I think we're pretty advantaged in a matchup like this. So we're 3-0. We're about to go into round 4, which will look to you guys like round 3 of this tournament. I really hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you're not a prison stacks enjoyer, I totally get it. Don't worry. This is the only event where I'm going to be playing this deck for any amount of time for a very long time. I just want to make sure to get something cool out for the stacks prison enjoyers. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.